room. So what do you think, or do you feel like people sometimes just like overlook your leadership specifically and your impact on the team from like a chemistry standpoint, because there's just so many narratives? So like, do you think people are overlooking that?
She made the All W first team. I don't think anyone's overlooking what Kelsey Mitchell did this year. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think anyone is.
Okay, this is wild. Kelsey Mitchell just went on Sue Bird's podcast and basically confirmed what everyone's been whispering about behind closed doors. And get this, she didn't just talk about playing with Caitlin Clark. She revealed that she had to sit down with the Fever organization because things weren't working the way they should have been. But here's the kicker. What she said about Caitlin herself is where this gets complicated. Because when you really listen to her words, you start to realize there's a massive problem brewing in Indiana that nobody wants to talk about. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this could either make or break the entire franchise.
Because there's just so many narratives. So like, do you think people are overlooking that?
I think that in a short, yeah. I think naturally, yes, because of the society, the social media, and how bad, people take to social media and abuse it for in the wrong realm of light. And so I think that's one part of it. But I also think that it was an adjustment period. And I talked to, the Fever organization about this. It's like, I think it was an adjustment period that, we all should have adjusted to throughout the course of the organization.
Did you catch that role playing that had to be situated? That's just corporate speak for, we had no idea what we were doing. The Fever knew for 5 months they were bringing in the biggest star in women's basketball history, and they still weren't prepared. Think about that for a second. 5 months of lead time, and Kelsey is sitting there saying players, coaches, trainers, the entire organization had to scramble to figure out roles once Caitlin actually showed up. But here's what everyone's missing. Kelsey isn't just talking logistics or shifting responsibilities. She's pointing to something far deeper. Listen to how carefully she frames what comes next, because that's where the real tension begins to show.
That, we all should have adjusted to throughout the course of the organization.
That actually sounds like she said she had to talk to the organization about it. So I would say, like, they did not prepare for Caitlin Clark. From an organizational level, they didn't prepare for Caitlin Clark. They knew they were getting Caitlin Clark for literally 5 months before a draft.
She never was bigger than a program. Now, most people heard that as a compliment, but let me break down what that actually reveals. When someone says a superstar wasn't trying to take over, what they're really saying is that person didn't assert themselves the way they should have. Think about every dynasty in basketball history. Jordan didn't worry about being bigger than the Bulls. LeBron didn't hesitate to take over in Miami. Kobe demanded the Lakers build around him. That's not arrogance, that's leadership. And what Kelsey just exposed is that Caitlin came in trying to fit into their system instead of making them fit into hers. Which sounds noble, right? Except here's the problem nobody wants to admit.
Basically saying Caitlin was soft. Basically, she never put her foot down and tried to override. That's what I'm thinking she going into, but I could be wrong.
It wasn't, I don't know how to explain that. You know what I'm trying to say though?
Yeah, no, I know what you're trying to say. It's like, she knows who she is. She comes in. She's going to obviously do her part because that's what being a professional athlete is. But with the understanding of fitting into a team, making sure we fit, making sure we have chemistry. So it's never bigger than like the group
it's like
itself.
She wasn't trying to be bigger than everybody. Like within our locker room, she wasn't trying to be big.
She should have been, bruh. She should have been.
Bigger than anyone else. And
Hold up. Did she really just call Caitlin soft? Because that's exactly what just happened. Saying she wasn't trying to be bigger than everybody isn't praise when you're talking about a generational talent. That's criticism disguised as respect. And you can hear it in how Kelsey keeps emphasizing that Caitlin fit into the team and understood chemistry. Translation: she didn't demand the ball. She didn't force the offense to run through her. She played nice instead of taking control. Now, contrast that with what we saw on the court last season, post-Olympic break, when Caitlin and Kelsey finally clicked. They were unstoppable. The Fever were dropping 100-plus points a night. Kelsey was putting up 24. Caitlin was getting 20 and 12 assists. They looked like the best backcourt in WNBA history. So what changed?
But like, it wasn't like she wasn't trying to take over. You know, it wasn't, I don't know how to explain that. You know what I'm trying to say though?
Yeah, no, I know what you're trying to say. It's like she knows who she is. She comes in. She's going to obviously do her part because that's what being a professional athlete is. But with the understanding of fitting into a team, making sure we fit, making sure we have chemistry. So it's never bigger than like the group
it's like
itself.
she wasn't trying to be bigger than everybody. Like,
see, because she know Caitlyn is comfortable with who she is. She knows she the biggest thing moving and smoking. Like, she don't have to come be arrogant. She's not an arrogant person. So she's not gonna be that way with you guys. But y'all need to play y'all.
And there it is. She kept the program. You know what's crazy? Kelsey keeps using that word, program, not team, not family, program. Like Caitlyn was joining some established system that she needed to respect. Except the Fever were terrible before Caitlyn arrived. They hadn't made the playoffs in years. Kelsey had been there 7 seasons without getting past the first round. So what program exactly was Caitlyn supposed to keep sacred? This is the psychology of veteran players who feel threatened. They frame humility as a virtue when, in reality, what they want is for the new star to know their place. And Caitlyn, being the ultimate team player, actually did it. She deferred. She facilitated. She made everyone around her better instead of demanding that they make her better, which brings us to the massive elephant in the room, the thing that's destroying this partnership before it even reaches its potential.
I don't know if that makes sense, but like,
No, it very much makes sense. And you know what? Like, she wasn't even asked about Caitlin Clark. And like, there's no matter what, I mean this when I say this. No matter what happens, even if I don't think Kelsey Mitchell wants to leave. It's going to take, these two have had 10 games together in a system where they were able to run, both of them were able to play, and they were both healthy. They have had 10.
See what just happened there? Kelsey praised Caitlyn for maintaining passion when she didn't play and when injuries happened. But think about why that even needed to be said. The subtext is brutal. Caitlyn had to prove she could stay engaged even when she wasn't the focal point, even when the offense didn't run through her, even when Kelsey was taking contested long twos instead of passing, and Caitlyn passed that test, which Kelsey clearly respects. But here's what's quietly eating away at this situation from the inside. Stephanie White came in and immediately said Kelsey Mitchell was her #1 priority. Not the generational talent who single-handedly changed the entire league. Not the player who sells out every arena and brings in millions of new fans. The veteran who's been good, but never great. And that decision has created a fracture that's about to explode.
Her power too much, and you got to respect that. But now we have gotten to a point, truthfully, Kelsey, and I rock with Kelsey. Kelsey's a killer. You know what I mean? Obviously, we got a little crazy with Kelsey because there was a certain point in time, beginning of the season last year, she wasn't passing. But post-Olympic break, she was great. We got on her once her sister started making comments online and doing all that. She was doing too much. You got her under control. Cool. But I think now we are at a point where Caitlyn does need to start doing some of the things you said she don't do, like asserting her power. She needs to start taking.
You're like my little sister. Did you feel that shift? That wasn't just affection. That was hierarchy. Big sister, little sister. Veteran, rookie. The one who's been here versus the one who still has to learn. Except here's the problem. Caitlin Clark isn't just any rookie. She's the most accomplished player to ever enter the WNBA. She broke every college basketball record that mattered. She's already better than Kelsey will ever be, and everyone in that locker room knows it. But the Fever's entire structure is built around pretending that isn't true. And that's where the dysfunction starts. When you have a transcendent talent, you don't make them adapt to your system. You rebuild the system around them. Golden State didn't tell Steph Curry to fit into Mark Jackson's offense. They hired Steve Kerr and changed basketball forever. The Lakers didn't tell Kobe Bryant to respect the veterans. They traded Shaq and handed him the keys. But the Fever? They're trying to have it both ways. Build around a generational star while still protecting the old hierarchy. And that never works.
Feeling this.
you're talking about a kid in the candy store, that's Caitlyn.
Yep.
Tutu, she is, but in a good way. She's a live light. And she her personality shows in her game, and it's dope for her.
Guys, in your locker room.
to what I was saying in the beginning, man, with the media, and Kelsey Mitchell be sneak dissing, bro. That was kind of a sneak diss, because you would think she basically letting us know, like, you would think Caitlin Clark is not bigger than the system. Caitlin Clark just come in and play her role. Caitlin Clark need to go there and be the LeBron, be Michael Jordan, be Kobe, aggressive, give me the ball. She's claiming basically so many words. Caitlin ain't doing.
Now, here's where things get really complicated, because Kelsey isn't wrong about everything. She's absolutely right that Caitlin needs to be more assertive, but the real problem is why Caitlin isn't being assertive. And it's not because she's soft or immature. It's because she's trapped in an impossible situation. Think about what happened this season. Caitlin played hurt basically the entire year. She was injured from day one but kept grinding because the team needed her. Meanwhile, Stephanie White is running an offense that doesn't maximize her strengths. Kelsey's taking shots that should go to Caitlin. The whole system is designed to make Kelsey comfortable instead of making Caitlin unstoppable. And when Caitlin tries to take over, she's criticized for not being a team player. So she backs off, tries to fit in, and then gets called soft for not being aggressive enough. It's a no-win scenario built to protect everyone's ego except the one person who actually matters.
Because she likes to, like, you know, talk about basketball and kind of troll a little bit. Yeah,
goodness.
Exactly.
You're talking about a kid in the candy store. That's Caitlin.
Yep.
Tutu, she is, but in a good way. She's a live light. And she her personality shows in her game, and it's dope for her.
And like, that's one of the things you can see. These two players, no matter what you think about them, and look, I will question the fit. I'm going to question the fit. I'm going to question the way the system to Stephanie White.
And get this, even if people defending Kelsey admit the fit is questionable. We can all have our opinions. We can all make our predictions. Translation: nobody actually knows if this works long term. They're hoping. They're guessing. They're crossing their fingers that chemistry somehow clicks. But hope isn't a strategy. And here's the truth that nobody in Indiana wants to face. Kelsey Mitchell is a great player who just doesn't complement Caitlin Clark's game. She's an isolation scorer who needs the ball in her hands. Caitlin is a transcendent playmaker who makes everyone better when she controls the offense. Those styles can coexist for stretches, like we saw post-Olympic break last season, but when pressure hits, when the games actually matter, one of them has to dominate. And Stephanie White already chose Kelsey, which means Caitlin Clark is now stuck being the best player on the team who isn't allowed to play like the best player on the team.
Her power right then and there. No question about it.
She gave us like her best when she was in the locker room.
Yeah, the time I've spent with Caitlin, like, she definitely has, like, oh, you're like my little sister.
Yes.
Because she likes to, like, you know, talk about basketball and kind of troll a little bit. Yeah,
goodness.
Exactly.
You're talking about a kid in the candy store. That's Caitlin.
Yep.
Tutu, she is, but in a good way. She's a live light. And she her personality shows in her game, and it's dope for her.
So you see Kelsey Mitchell.
She should have been bigger than everybody. Finally, someone said it, because that's the core issue destroying the Fever's potential. Caitlin should walk into that locker room knowing she's the franchise. She should demand the ball in crunch time. She should tell Stephanie White to build the offense around her strengths, not Kelsey's comfort zone, but she doesn't. And the organization enables her passivity because it's easier than having difficult conversations with veterans. This is the kind of moment that defines careers. Jordan had to push out his friends to win championships. LeBron had to leave Cleveland to reach his potential. Kobe had to become the villain to build his legacy. Every superstar eventually reaches a point where they must choose between being liked and being great, and Caitlin Clark is standing right at that crossroads. The only question now is, does she have the ruthlessness to make the right choice?
And they're hovering around 500. Then you can start to question things. If they're hovering around 500 coming into the All-Star break, I know they were this year as well, but then you can start to question things. You can see, we can talk about the coaches, we can talk about the fit, we can talk about personnel. But for now, I think Kelsey Mitchell would be dumb not to give it another year. she'd be dumb. She's going to get cored, so it's a 1-year deal anyway.
Here's what makes this situation so explosive. Kelsey isn't going anywhere. She just signed a 1-year deal, which means she's betting on herself to prove she can be the #1 option. Stephanie White has already committed to building around her. The organization has chosen sides, so Caitlin has 3 options. ****, she can keep being the ultimate team player, deferring to Kelsey, fitting into a system that doesn't maximize her talent, and hoping things magically improve. That's the safe choice, the one that leads to a good career, but never greatness. Second, she can demand changes. Tell ownership that Stephanie White's approach isn't working. Insist the offense runs through her. Risk being labeled difficult or selfish. That's the dangerous choice. The one that either leads to championships or gets a run out of town. Or third, she can leave. Force a trade. Go somewhere that actually understands what they have, a generational player, and build a legacy somewhere that deserves her. And honestly, after listening to Kelsey talk about her like a little sister who needs to know her place, that third option is looking better every day. But here's what everyone keeps missing in this whole debate. This isn't just about basketball fit, offensive systems, or who gets the ball. This is about respect, and Caitlin isn't getting it. Not from Stephanie White, who publicly said Kelsey is the priority. Not from the organization, who failed to prepare for her arrival despite 5 months of warning. Not even from Kelsey, who keeps framing Caitlin's team-first attitude as immaturity instead of sacrifice, and you can only disrespect greatness for so long before it walks away. The WNBA has spent decades begging for a player like Caitlin Clark, someone who brings mainstream attention, someone who fills arenas, someone who makes casual fans care about women's basketball, and now that they finally have her, they're treating her like she should be grateful for the apport.